A mother's love is a bridge no storm can wash away. African-American proverb. The sun had barely risen over Lily's modest street in Savannah when her entire world shifted under her feet. Her phone rang, an unexpected call, one she almost ignored. She wiped her hands on her apron, listening to Kai and Luna giggling in the living room as they argued over crayons. It was the kind of ordinary morning she treasured: small joys, tight budgets, whispered prayers, and a determination that held her together. She picked up the phone. Hello? A pause. A breath. A voice smooth as polished stone. Lily. This is Ellen Sterling. Her chest tightened. Drew's mother wasn't someone who called for friendly check-ins. Lily stepped out onto the porch, closing the door behind her so the twins wouldn't hear. Yes, ma'am, she said quietly. Ellen did not waste time. I'll wire $20 million tonight. If you let me raise the twins without you. Lily froze. The air, warm just moments ago, turned cold around her shoulders. Her knees weakened, forcing her hand to grip the wooden porch railing to stay upright. Her heartbeat hammered loudly in her ears. I'm sorry, what? Lily whispered. Ellen continued, unshaken. Kai and Luna deserve resources you simply cannot provide. Specialists, private care, the best schooling, a stable environment. I can give all that. You would step aside. Permanently. The twins would live with me, you would not be involved. Through the screen door behind her, Kai's laughter rang out, pure, high-pitched joy. Luna responded with her soft humming, a melody she always used when she felt safe. That sound hit Lily like a punch to the stomach. Sell her children. Let them be raised by someone who barely knew them? Walk away from the two people who made her world make sense? She pressed a hand to her chest and fought for breath. Ellen spoke again, calmly, as if discussing a business contract. 20 million, Lily. Enough to change your life. Enough to take away your struggle. Lily's throat constricted. Her struggle? Did Ellen have any idea what love looked like outside of mansions and manicured lawns? Did she understand what it meant to spend nights praying over fevers, comforting meltdowns, attending therapy visits, singing them to sleep? Money couldn't replace that. Nothing could. Still, Lily couldn't ignore the truth. She was struggling. Each medical bill hit her like a blow. Luna's hearing devices, Kai's speech therapy, back and forth rides to specialists 3 towns over, the rent that swallowed nearly everything she earned. She felt tears burning behind her eyes. $20 million. A way out. A way to breathe. At what cost? A sudden wave of dizziness swept through her. She steadied herself against the porch column, trembling. Her babies were inside, laughing, trusting her, needing her. Ellen's voice cut through her panic. I'm offering a better future. If you love them, truly love them, you'll think about it. Another squeeze of Lily's heart. Love them. She lived for them. She closed her eyes, fighting the pressure, the fear, the insult buried in those words. When she finally managed to speak, her voice shook. I can't just hand over my children. Ellen didn't argue. Take the day to think. I'll call tonight. The line cut off. Silence rushed in. Lily stood there on the porch, completely still. The neighborhood moved as usual around her, cars passing, a dog barking down the street. But she felt like she was trapped in place while the world marched forward without her. Her breath hitched, her vision blurred. She dropped to her knees. Not from weakness, from shock, from terror, from a mother's instinct screaming inside her chest. Her hands covered her face as the porch boards soaked up the tears she fought to hide. Behind her, Kai called out, Mama, you okay? His tiny voice broke her. She forced herself up, wiped her cheeks, and opened the door. Yes, baby, she whispered, pulling him close. Mama's right here. She kissed his forehead, holding him longer than usual. She turned toward the audience now, toward you, bestie, watching this story unfold. Before we continue, bestie, please like this video and comment family first so YouTube pushes this story to more people. Because what happens next? It's the kind of choice that could crush a mother's heart. Lily stood in the kitchen long after the call ended, staring at the faded linoleum floor as if it held the answers she needed. Kai and Luna had returned to their coloring books, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around their mother's spirit. She placed a shaky hand against the counter and whispered to herself, "What am I supposed to do?" But deep down, she already knew the truth. There are moments in life when someone is forced between survival and sacrifice. And bestie, here's where you come in. Because this is where every single viewer watching Sabrad Stories silently asks themselves the same question. What would I do if someone waved $20 million in my face? But the price was never hearing my children call me mom again. Would you reject it instantly? Would you consider it for a moment? Would you doubt your ability to provide? Would the pressure of bills and responsibilities make you hesitate? These are the questions real people face in different forms every day. Maybe you've never been offered millions. But maybe you've had a job demand too much time away from your family. Maybe life pushed you toward choices that made you feel torn between responsibility and love. Maybe stress made you question whether you were good enough. Lily's struggle wasn't just about money. It was about worth. It was about identity. It was about the crushing fear of failing the two little souls depending on her. She looked across the room at Luna, who was softly humming while arranging her crayons in perfect rows. The doctors said she hummed a lot because sound comforted her. It helped her navigate a world that felt too quiet, too uncertain. She stared at Kai next, intelligent, curious, but slow to form words. He used gestures, drawings, and little taps on her arm to communicate. Therapy helped, but progress came inch by inch, not mile by mile. Lily carried their needs like an invisible backpack strapped tight across her shoulders. Some days, the weight nearly pulled her to the ground. And that's when Ellen's offer dug itself deeper into Lily's thoughts. Not because Lily didn't love her children, but because being strong every single day, while juggling medical bills, therapies, early morning, routines, delayed work hours, transportation headaches, and financial strain, became overwhelming. The apartment lease was month to month. The car sometimes needed a prayer before starting. Her grocery budget required calculators and coupons. Her faith held her steady, but her world was stretched thin. So she asked herself the terrifying question no mother ever wants to think. Am the first enough? The second she thought it, guilt stabbed her chest. She folded her arms across herself, fighting the doubt. She didn't want to admit how tempting $20 million sounded, not because she wanted luxury, but because she wanted relief. Relief from nights praying the electricity wouldn't be shut off. Relief from wondering whether she could afford Luna's next device upgrade. Relief from calculating whether to buy groceries or gas. If you've ever faced a choice between your heart and survival, between your love and your fear, between what's right and what's easy, then you understand Lily more than you think. She walked to the window and watched the neighborhood kids ride their bikes. Parents stood nearby with folded arms and relaxed smiles. They looked like they didn't have a storm following them around. She rested her forehead against the glass. "I'm trying, Lord," she whispered. "I'm doing the best I can." Her voice cracked. I don't want to lose them." A tap came from behind. Luna had waddled over, tugging at Lily's shirt with her tiny hand. Lily kneeled, and Luna rested her forehead against hers. "Mama," she hummed softly. Just that one word reminded Lily. Every sacrifice she made was worth it. But it didn't erase the fear. Not yet. Lily thought the worst part of Ellen's offer was the money itself. She was wrong. The real blow came an hour later, when her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Ellen. It was Drew. She almost didn't answer. Her heart wasn't ready for more conflict, but she pressed the green button anyway. "Lily?" His voice cracked immediately. I just heard the message." She went still, not because he sounded angry, but because he sounded broken. "I didn't know," he continued, breath uneven. "I never would have allowed that. I swear to you." In the silence that followed, Lily could hear something rustling behind him. She imagined him in an airport somewhere, pacing with his suit jacket over one arm, trying to hold himself together. Then she heard it, a choked inhale. "Baby, I'm so sorry." Lily closed her eyes. Part of her wanted to collapse into those words. Another part wanted to guard her heart, the part that had been carrying everything alone. while he buried himself in work, thinking the bills just magically handled themselves. She didn't speak. "Lily, please say something," he begged, voice trembling. She swallowed hard. "What exactly did you hear?" There was a pause, then Drew forced the words out. "My mother said she would raise the twins. If you disappeared from their lives, she said she'd give you money to walk away. His breath hitched. "I almost threw my phone across the hotel lobby when I heard it." Lily's fingers tightened around the countertop. The pain in his voice wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't polished. It was raw, straight from a man who realized the people he loved most were bleeding because he hadn't been paying attention. "I'm coming home," he said suddenly. "I already booked a flight. I'll be there in 3 hours." Her head snapped up. "What?" "Drew, No," he cut in softly. "My place is with you and the kids, right now, not in some conference room pretending everything is okay." A small, shaky breath left her lips. This was the Drew she fell in love with, the one who held Luna to his chest when she cried, the one who stayed up helping Kai count toy cars, the one who prayed with her when fear felt heavy, not the one drowning in work. "I'm sorry, Lily," he whispered again. "I should have been here. I should have known something was off." She felt something loosen in her chest, just slightly, but the relief didn't last. Because when Drew arrived hours later, breathless and rumpled from travel, he walked through the door and saw something that shattered him completely. Lily was sitting on the floor with Kai and Luna curled into her sides, her arms wrapped around them like she was afraid someone might snatch them away. Her cheeks were streaked with dried tears. He dropped his bag instantly and rushed to her. "Oh God, Lily." He kneeled, cupping her face gently. "What did she do to you?" She didn't answer in words. She didn't have to. Her eyes said everything. Drew pulled her into his chest, holding her like a man terrified he was already too late. Kai crawled onto his lap. Luna slid her tiny hands around his arm. He swallowed hard. "This is our family. No one is taking you from them. Not even my mother." His voice carried something new, something fierce. A promise. A vow. One that came from the deepest place in him. "I'll fight my own mother before I lose you and our children," he whispered, forehead pressed to hers. Her breath caught. The weight she had been carrying for days finally shifted. Not gone, but shared. For the first time since the call, Lily let herself cry again, not from fear, but from relief. From finally not being alone in the battle. Drew kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her trembling hands. "We'll handle this together," he murmured. "Whatever it takes." And that's the moment the audience realizes, this story isn't about a cold offer of money. It's about a power struggle. A clash of worlds. A mother fighting to keep her family whole. A son fighting to correct the damage caused by privilege and control. This is where love stops being gentle and becomes courage. The house had gone quiet for a moment, one of those rare pauses when the universe seems to hold its breath. Drew was still kneeling in front of Lily, arms wrapped around her, forehead pressed against hers as the twins clung to both of them. It wasn't the kind of peace that comes after victory. It was the calm right before decisions are made that change a family forever. Lily pulled back just enough to look into Drew's eyes. Hers were tired. His were pleading. But something unspoken passed between them, something stronger than the fear that had filled the room all day. A shared understanding. This wasn't over. Ellen wasn't going to drop her offer. She wasn't someone who heard no and walked away politely. She was a woman raised on influence, introductions, and closed-door deals. A woman who believed her wealth made her a natural decision-maker for everyone else's life. And Lily? She wasn't raised with privilege. She was raised with faith. She was raised with community. She was raised to fight gently, but powerfully, for her children. Those two worlds were on a collision course. And now, bestie. This is where you lean in closer. Because what comes next raises questions every parent, partner, and listener must ask. How far will someone go when they think love isn't enough? Will Ellen stop at an offer? Or will she push harder? Use lawyers? Use influence? Use her world against Lily's? Will Lily lose custody? Even with Drew by her side, can a mother of modest means stand against a billionaire with every resource at her fingertips. What secret will be exposed at the gala? Ellen's world is wrapped in pride, image, and control. But pride always hides something. There's a truth in her past, a deep one, that will surface at the worst possible moment. And how will faith and family pull Lily through? Because when love meets pressure, when faith meets fear, when a humble woman is pushed to her limit, that's when the real story begins. Drew lifted Lily's face gently. "We're going to see this through," he whispered. "I'm not losing you. I'm not losing them." Lily exhaled, slow and steady, the kind of breath a fighter takes before standing back up. Because she knew this wasn't just her battle anymore, it was theirs. Together. She kissed Kai's forehead, smoothed Luna's curls, and held Drew's hand tightly. No more fear. No more silence. Whatever Ellen Sterling had planned, she wasn't facing a fragile woman. She was facing a mother determined to keep her family. And bestie, before we go any further, like this video and comment, "I believe in family, so this story can reach more people." Because the plot twist waiting down the line, it will break your heart and heal you. At the same time, the morning routine in Lily's small Savannah apartment always began before the sun stretched across the sky. She woke while the world was still quiet, slipping out of bed with a tired but determined breath. The lamp on her nightstand flickered softly as she reached for her Bible, pressing her palm over the worn cover. "Lord, help me get through this day," she whispered. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was the kind of prayer mothers make when the load feels heavy, but they refuse to quit. She opened to a marked page, underlined verses steadying her tired heart. In the next room she could already hear Luna humming, a soft tune she used to regulate her hearing. Lily smiled, even though her body ached from late-night routines. Kai followed the hum with tiny taps on the wall, his way of letting her know he was awake even when his words didn't always come. Her children weren't difficult. They were beautiful blessings. But their needs required consistency, patience, appointments, and strength. Lily sometimes feared she didn't have enough of. She tied her bonnet, stretched her shoulders, and stepped into the hallway. "Good morning, my loves," she sang as she swung the door open. Kai rushed toward her with a grin, clutching a toy truck. He placed it into her hand and tapped twice on her wrist, a gesture he used to say good morning before speaking became easier. Luna toddled behind him, soft curls bouncing as she hummed her melody. She hugged Lily around the legs, humming louder so she could feel the vibration of her mother's voice. When Lily answered, "There you are, sweetheart." Lily lifted Luna onto her hip and guided Kai to the kitchen table. Breakfast wasn't fancy, sweet potato pancakes and fruit, but it filled the house with warmth. She set Luna's plate gently and used simple hand cues they practiced together. Eat, good, slow. By the time breakfast was ready, the apartment felt alive. Laughs, hums, taps, and Lily's voice blending together. Yet, beneath that joy, lived exhaustion. Not bitterness, not regret. Just tired bones holding a determined soul. Today was therapy day. That meant double travel, double patience, double preparation. Luna needed her hearing devices checked. Kai had a speech session. Both appointments weren't covered fully. But she made it work. She always made it work. She dressed them gently, Kai in a shirt with little rocket ships, Luna in a yellow dress that always made her sway. Lily paused in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair and wiping a small smudge from her cheek. She didn't glamorize her reflection. She simply gathered her courage. "This is it," she whispered. Another day, another blessing. But blessings didn't erase fatigue. Her shoulders held the weight of her world, rent, therapy fees, grocery budgets, the car that rattled. Every time she turned left, and the constant fear of being one crisis away from falling apart. Still, she pushed forward. Still, she relied on faith. Still, her twins were her joy. Before leaving, she knelt beside the couch and prayed, Kai and Luna crawling into her lap. "God, guide my steps today. Keep them safe. Give me strength." Her voice cracked quietly, but she stood anyway. This was motherhood. This was love. This was the life she chose, even when it stretched her thin. And she would do it all again. The call came moments after Lily buckled the twins into the back seat for their therapy day. She reached for her purse, checking she hadn't forgotten snacks, wipes, Luna's extra batteries, Kai's sensory toys, her usual ritual. The phone buzzed. Caller ID, L. Sterling. Lily froze. She hadn't spoken to Ellen Sterling since the last tense holiday gathering. One filled with polite smiles, quiet judgment, and invisible walls. She stepped onto the porch before answering, not wanting the twins to hear anything unsettling. "Hello?" she greeted softly. "Lily," Ellen said, her voice smooth and carefully controlled. "I trust your morning has been manageable." Every word from Ellen sounded like it had been placed on a measuring scale first. "Yes, it's been fine," Lily replied, clutching the railing to ground herself. "I'll be direct." A pause. "I want to make you an offer. $20 million. Lily blinked rapidly. Surely she misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" $20 million, Ellen repeated calmly. "In exchange, the twins would live with me. I would assume full responsibility for their upbringing. They would have every advantage money can buy: schools, specialists, private resources. Everything they deserve." Lily's hand trembled. "You want to raise them without me?" "Yes," Ellen answered simply. "As their grandmother, I can provide what you cannot." Lily felt the words slice through her. What you cannot. Her breath caught. Her heartbeat doubled. Ellen continued. "You are overwhelmed, Lily. I've watched it unfold. And before this becomes messy or emotionally damaging to the children, I believe stepping aside would be the best solution." Lily squeezed the railing harder. She wanted to scream. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to protect her babies with everything inside her. But she could barely form words. "Mrs. Sterling, I love them. They're my children. And I'm offering their best chance at a secure life," Ellen replied, tone unshaken. $20 million would be deposited into your account immediately. You could start over, travel, rest, do something for yourself. You would be free. Free? Is that what she thought motherhood was? A cage? An obligation? Lily's voice was thin when she finally managed. "I can't walk away from them." "You should take the day to consider it," Ellen said. "I'll call tonight." Then the line went silent. The world around Lily dimmed. Her reality shifted. Something inside her cracked, but not enough to break. She whispered to herself, "God, why?" The porch boards creaked under Lily's weight as she sat down slowly, her vision blurring with panic. The hum of the neighborhood, cars, voices, footsteps, faded beneath the loud rush of her heartbeat. Her throat felt tight. Her palms shook. Her mind spiraled into terror. She pictured Kai reaching for her small hand during therapy when sounds overwhelmed him. She pictured Luna humming as she pressed her cheek to Lily's shoulder for comfort. And all she heard was Ellen's voice. "They deserve better. You cannot provide. Step aside." Tears slipped down Lily's cheeks. She whispered, "Lord, I need you right now." She bowed her head, clasping her hands tightly. "Please, give me wisdom. I don't know what to do." Her breath shuddered. "Don't let them take my babies." A breeze swept across the porch, brushing her skin like a quiet reassurance. She pressed her forehead against her hands, allowing herself to cry silently, crying not from weakness but from the weight of love. Inside, the twins laughed again, pure, bright, innocent laughter. It burned. It soothed. It reminded her why she had to fight. She stood shakily, wiped her tears, and forced herself back inside. Kai looked up with wide eyes. He tapped her wrist softly. "Mama." She nodded, kneeling to his level. "I'm okay, baby." She pulled them both close, feeling their heartbeats against her chest. "I'll protect you," she whispered into their hair. "I don't care what it takes." But the fear didn't disappear. It lingered. It followed her through the day, twisting her stomach as she loaded them into the car for their appointments. Every traffic light felt longer. Every bill waiting in her purse pressed heavier. Every uncertainty rattled louder. The offer echoed in her mind like a threat wrapped in luxury. $20 million would change her life. But losing her children would destroy her. By the time therapy appointments ended and Lily returned home, her mind was unraveling with fear. She placed the twins in their play area, turned off the car, and leaned against the driver's seat in silence. A knock on her window startled her. It was Tracy, her best friend since high school. Bold dresses, bigger personality, and a voice that could lift a whole congregation. "Girl, why your face look like someone unplugged your joy?" Tracy demanded, as Lily stepped out of the car. Lily tried to smile. It didn't work. Tracy narrowed her eyes. "Okay, talk. Who do I need to fight? Name them. I'll grab my flats. I don't fight in heels on weekdays." Lily let out a weak laugh as tears gathered. Tracy immediately softened, pulling her into a hug. "Baby, what happened?" They sat on the porch steps. Lily explained everything: the phone call, the offer, the threat, the fear. Tracy's reaction was instant. $20 million? For your children? Absolutely not. She clapped her hands once. "I rebuke that." "Tracy." "No, Lily. Listen to me." She placed her hands on Lily's shoulders. "You are a good mother. Those kids are happy, healthy, loved and cared for. Money can't replace love, and no fancy house can replace you." Lily exhaled shakily. "But what if she fights me legally?" "She has power, influence." "And you have God," Tracy interrupted. "And me, and Pastor Noah, and half this neighborhood ready to circle your house like a praise team security squad." Lily burst into a tearful laugh. "Tracy." "What?" "Girl, you know I'm serious." Tracy pulled out tissues from her oversized bag. "Cry if you need to. But we're not letting some rich woman scare you. That's your family." Her presence anchored Lily. Her humor lightened her. Her words comforted her. And for the first time since the call, Lily felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't fighting alone. Lily wiped her cheeks, steadier now. Tracy nudged her playfully. "Now listen. Before fear tries you again, breathe and trust God. You hear me?" Lily nodded. "And then you, the viewer, the listener, the person on the other side of this story, become part of Lily's support system too. Bestie watching this, comment prayer if you believe God still answers. Your engagement takes her story further. Your words lift her spirit. And chapter 1 ends with the truth. Lily is not alone. Not in her neighborhood. Not in her church. Not in this story. And not with you watching. Night fell gently over Savannah, but sleep refused to visit Lily's home. The lamp in her bedroom glowed dimly as she lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Every time she closed her eyes, Ellen's words replayed in her mind. $20 million, leave the twins, a better life. Her stomach tightened. She rolled onto her side, hoping exhaustion would drown her thoughts, but her heartbeat continued racing, heavy with anxiety. She glanced at the clock. 2:14 a.m. Luna had finally fallen asleep after humming against Lily's chest for nearly an hour. Kai had drifted off holding his favorite toy truck. They both rested peacefully now, unaware of the battle waging inside their mother's mind. The silence of the night pressed on her chest. It reminded her of her own childhood, the nights she lay awake in her grandmother's house, praying that her father wouldn't come home drunk. She remembered clutching her pillow tightly as her grandmother whispered psalms over her. She swore that when she grew up, her children would never feel fear the way she once did. But tonight? Tonight, she felt the old familiar ache return, fear of losing what she loved most. She sat up slowly, pressing her palms together. "Lord, why me?" she whispered. "Why this test? I don't have anything left to give." Her voice broke. She didn't doubt her love. She doubted her ability to win battles against people with power. She thought of the bills tucked under the toaster in the kitchen, therapy invoices, past due notices, Luna's next device payment. She thought about how close she came last month to missing rent. She thought about how many times she pretended to be strong so the twins wouldn't feel her fear. Her eyes welled with tears again. Am the first enough? The question slipped out before she could stop it. She hated that question. She hated that Ellen's offer made her wonder. She didn't want luxury. She wanted stability. She wanted peace. She wanted to give Kai and Luna everything they needed without feeling like she was drowning every day. She dragged a hand across her face and whispered, "I trust you, God. I do. But I'm scared." Her body shook with sobs she tried to silence. The weight of motherhood, love, and survival pressed fiercely on her chest. And yet, even through the tears, her faith flickered. Not gone. Not strong, but flickering, like a candle holding on in the wind. She pulled her Bible close and flipped to a bookmarked passage her grandmother used to read. "When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I." Lily pressed her palm against the page, breathing deeply. "I need you to be that rock," she murmured. When she finally lay back down, it wasn't because she wasn't afraid. It was because she had to wake up in a few hours and do it all again. Sleep eventually came, slow, shallow, and filled with dreams of a world where she didn't have to choose between motherhood and survival. The next morning came too quickly. Lily dragged herself out of bed, body heavy with fatigue. She forced a smile as she helped Kai into his shirt and secured Luna's hearing device. Both children were cheerful, unaware of the storm swirling around her. She packed snacks, wipes, paperwork, and Luna's extra batteries into the diaper bag before ushering everyone to the car. The drive to the therapy center felt longer than usual. Kai tapped the window rhythmically, a sign he was nervous. Lily reached back to squeeze his hand at a stoplight. "It's okay, baby," she soothed softly. When they arrived, Kai immediately clung to her leg. His speech therapist, a warm woman named Miss Carmen, knelt beside him. "Good morning, Kai," she said gently. "You ready to talk with me today?" Kai didn't answer with words. He tapped Lily's wrist twice. Lily kissed his forehead. "You'll do great," she whispered. He hesitated, then slowly followed Miss Carmen inside. Lily watched him go, her heart tugging. Speech didn't come easily for him. Progress moved slowly. Every sentence he formed was a small victory. Next was Luna's appointment. The audiologist greeted them with a clipboard. "Her hearing levels are stable," she said after testing. "But she'll need a device upgrade soon. The older one isn't as effective anymore." Lily's smile faltered. "How much is the upgrade?" she asked. "About $1,800, the audiologist replied. "Insurance will cover part, but you'll still have a remaining balance." A sharp ache formed in Lily's chest. $1,800. For one device. She nodded calmly, though her insides tightened with worry. "Thank you," she said softly. Back in the car, Luna hummed, bouncing lightly in her seat. Kai toddled out of the center and climbed in next to her, exhausted but content. Lily drove in silence, thinking about the costs, the therapy hours, the emotional load, and Ellen's offer lingering in her mind like an unwanted shadow. Could Ellen give them more? Yes, that was the painful truth. Would losing Lily hurt them more than any advantage money could buy? Absolutely. She swallowed hard, pushing the thought away. Her love was their stability. Her presence was their comfort. Her voice was their home. Money couldn't replace that. But reality? Reality didn't stop knocking. Later that week, Lily made her way to church for Wednesday service. She didn't plan to stay long. She just needed a quiet moment in a place where her heart didn't feel so heavy. The sanctuary lights glowed softly as she slipped inside, settling in the back pew. The twins were in the nursery with volunteers. For once, she could breathe. As she bowed her head, a gentle voice approached. "Lily?" Pastor Noah stood beside her, warm concern in his eyes. "I could feel something weighing on you the moment you walked in." She tried to smile, but her eyes glossed over. "Pastor, I don't even know where to begin." He sat beside her. "Start with the truth," he encouraged kindly. "Whatever it is, God already knows. Let someone else know too." Lily inhaled shakily. She told him everything. Ellen's offer. The pressure. The fear. The guilt. The feeling of being outmatched by wealth and power. Pastor Noah listened, without interrupting. When she finished, tears slipped quietly down her cheeks. He rested a comforting hand over hers. "Lily," he began gently, "a mother's love is sacred. God entrusted Kai and Luna to you, not to money, not to status, to you." She crumbled into quiet sobs. He continued, "Do you remember the verse that says even the birds of the air are cared for by God? If he watches over them, how much more will he watch over your children?" Lily wiped her eyes, absorbing the words. "You're not failing," Pastor Noah went on. "You're fighting, and God honors faith that chooses love even when fear is loud." Her breath trembled. "I'm scared," she whispered. "That's why God gives community," he said warmly. Lean on us. Lean on him. And remember, decisions made out of fear rarely lead to peace. His words sank deep into her heart, like cool water on a burning wound. She breathed out slowly, shoulders easing for the first time all week. "Thank you, Pastor. You're never alone, Lily," he replied. "Not in this church, not in this battle, and not in God's eyes." By Friday evening, Lily had regained a bit of strength. Pastor Noah's words still echoed in her heart. She cooked jambalaya for the twins, humming softly as they danced around the kitchen. But peace didn't last long. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Caller ID, L. Sterling. Her stomach dropped. She almost didn't answer. But she couldn't avoid this forever. With a bracing breath, she pressed the phone to her ear. "Hello? Lily," Ellen said plainly. "It's time to discuss your decision." Lily steadied herself. "I told you." "Don't answer yet," Ellen interrupted calmly. "Think logically. You are overwhelmed. The children require more than you can offer: a stable home, elite care, a future free from struggle." Lily clenched her jaw. Ellen continued, tone unwavering. "I have consulted with my attorneys. Should you refuse, I will explore legal routes to secure what is best for the twins." Lily's breath caught. "Legal routes?" Her knees weakened. "You can't do that," Lily whispered. "I can," Ellen replied coolly. "I will always choose what benefits them most." The threat was clear, and it rattled Lily's bones. "Take the offer, Lily. 20 million, a clean break. You can build a new life. I will raise them." Lily's hands trembled around the phone. "I can't do that," she whispered again. "Think carefully," Ellen repeated. Then the line went dead. Lily's legs gave out, and she slid onto the kitchen floor, heart pounding like a drumbeat of fear. Lily sat against the cabinet, tears pooling in her eyes. She wiped them quickly, not wanting Kai or Luna to see. She whispered to herself, "I said no. I said no." But her voice shook, because doubt sat right beside her. Could Ellen really take legal action? Could wealth overshadow her motherhood? Would a judge be swayed by influence? Would her financial struggles count against her? Her chest tightened painfully. She thought of the therapy bills, her bank balance, her unpredictable work schedule, the car repairs she'd been postponing, the balance on Luna's upgrade. Fear pressed against her from every angle. But love pushed back. She stood slowly, wiped her cheeks, and held the kitchen counter for support. "No," she whispered with more strength. "I'm their mama, and nobody is taking them." Her heart still trembled. Her faith still wavered. Her mind still questioned. But her love? Her love stood firm. She lifted Luna into her arms, pressed a kiss to Kai's cheek, and whispered, "As long as I'm breathing, you're staying with me." The doubts didn't vanish. But the decision did not change. Drew Sterling was halfway through a corporate retreat in Chicago when his world shifted. He had just stepped out of a conference room, loosening his tie while scrolling through notifications. A missed call from his mother didn't alarm him. She left him messages all the time, updates about fundraisers, board meetings, or which senator she had brunch with. But the next notification stopped him cold. One new voicemail, from Mother. He pressed play casually at first. "Drew, this is your mother. I wanted to update you. I've spoken to Lily. I made her an offer. $20 million in exchange for raising the twins without her involvement. I believe this is best. I expect your support. We will talk soon." The message ended. The air left Drew's lungs. He stood frozen in the hallway, the noise of the retreat fading until it felt like he was underwater. His throat dried instantly, and his fingers curled into a tight fist around his phone. 20 million. Raise the twins without her. He whispered to himself, horrified. His mother hadn't hinted at such a plan. She hadn't asked for his thoughts. She hadn't consulted him. She acted alone, interfering, manipulating, violating boundaries he thought she'd learned to respect after years of tension. His heart dropped to his stomach. He imagined Lily, already exhausted, stretched thin, doing everything possible for Kai and Luna, receiving such a cold, calculated offer. Alone, with no warning, no support, no partner by her side. God. "Lily," he breathed out, feeling a wave of shame wash over him. He knew his mother had a tendency to overstep. But this wasn't overstepping. This was betrayal. For the first time in years, Drew felt truly disgusted with the world he came from, the world of grand gestures and powerful decisions made by people who never considered the emotional cost. He slammed his bag shut, grabbed his coat, and rushed toward the lobby. He needed to get home. Now. Not tomorrow. Not after the retreat. Right now. He booked an immediate flight, hands trembling as he typed. His reflection in the glass window beside him looked like a man who had just watched everything he cared about slip through his fingers. He whispered one sentence before boarding. I should have been there. I should have protected them. And guilt began its climb into his chest. The moment Drew landed back in Savannah, he didn't wait for his luggage. He raced out of the airport and called a rideshare. His leg bounced anxiously the entire ride. Every red light felt like a punishment. When the driver finally pulled up to Lily's apartment, Drew didn't even say goodbye. He sprang out of the car and sprinted to the door, heart pounding. He knocked once. The door opened slowly. Lily stood there, with swollen eyes, tear-streaked cheeks, and trembling lips. Her hair was loosely tied, the way she usually wore it after a long emotional day. Kai clung to her leg. Luna rested against her shoulder, humming a soft tune of comfort. Drew's breath caught. This wasn't the confident, resilient Lily he knew. This was a woman who had been wounded deeply. Lily, he whispered. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The pain on her face told him everything. He stepped inside carefully, as if afraid the entire moment might shatter. Why didn't you call me? He asked quietly. Lily shook her head. You were away. You were busy. I didn't want to drag you out of work. Drew's heart cracked. Nothing is more important than you and the twins, he said, voice firm. Nothing. He reached out slowly, touching her face as though she might break under his palms. She said she'd raise them, Lily whispered, voice trembling. She said she could give them more than I can. Drew's jaw tightened. That's not her decision, he said sharply. And she was wrong, dead wrong, to ever think she had the right to approach you like that. Kai stepped forward, tapping Drew's wrist with tiny fingers. Luna held her father's collar and hummed louder. He crouched down, pulling both children into his arms, holding them as though he feared someone might snatch them away. Then he looked up at Lily, with a fire she hadn't seen in a long time. I'm here now. I'm not leaving you again. And she will never take them. Over my body. His voice broke slightly at the end, and Lily felt her own breath tremble. The weight she'd been carrying alone began to lighten, slowly but noticeably. He stood and wrapped his arms around her entirely, resting his forehead against hers. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I didn't know. But I should have known something was wrong. I should have been here. Her hands gripped his shirt tightly as she whispered back, I was scared, Drew. I know, he murmured. But you're not alone anymore. The moment those words left his lips, something inside Lily finally cracked, not from weakness, but from finally feeling safe. She sobbed into his chest, not quietly, not politely. Her whole body released the fear she had bottled up for days. Her shoulders shook. Her knees gave out slightly. Her breath hitched in broken gasps. Drew held her tighter, sliding one hand to the back of her head while the other circled her waist. He supported her weight as if he'd been waiting for this moment, to carry what she could no longer hold alone. It's okay, he whispered repeatedly. I've got you. Kai tugged gently at her dress. Luna hummed softly, sensing the tension. Drew lowered them both onto the couch, so the children could crawl into her lap. Lily wrapped her arms around all three of them, tears falling freely. I couldn't breathe, she cried. I kept thinking she might take them. She won't, Drew reassured, voice steady. She won't go near them again without going through me first. He meant it. Every syllable dripped with protectiveness. Lily's tears slowed, but her breaths remained uneven. Drew wiped her cheeks gently with his thumb. You're strong, he said quietly. But you don't have to be strong alone. Not anymore. Lily sniffed and leaned her forehead into his shoulder. Promise me, she whispered. Promise you won't let her do this. Drew tightened his hold. I promise you, Lily. My mother will never break our family." The room fell quiet, except for the sound of Luna humming, Kai tapping his father's arm, and Lily slowly breathing in the comfort she had begged God for. The next morning carried a different energy, gentler, warmer, more whole. For the first time in days, Lily woke up feeling less alone. She found Drew already in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, whisk in hand, flipping sweet potato pancakes the same way she did. Kai sat on the counter, kicking his little feet while tapping a rhythm on the pan's handle. Luna sat in her booster chair humming happily and clapping at the sizzling sound. Lily leaned against the doorway, watching them. A smile, soft and real, crept onto her face. "Since when do you cook?" she teased gently. "Since today," Drew replied with a crooked grin. "Thought I'd try not to burn breakfast." He didn't. Everything smelled perfect. They gathered around the table. Kai lined up his toy cars beside his plate. Luna reached for her sippy cup with confident little hands. Drew reached across the table and took Lily's hand. "You're not losing them," he murmured. "We're in this together." She squeezed his hand back, feeling a new sense of unity settle over the table. Not the forced unity from before. Not the strained unity caused by work, stress, or unspoken fears. A real family unity, rebuilt piece by piece after surviving emotional war. Lily glanced at Kai and Luna. They were relaxed, smiling, safe. Her eyes glistened. But this time from gratitude. This breakfast felt like a promise. Peace was possible. Healing was possible. Fighting together was possible. And she wasn't alone anymore. Lily wiped a crumb from Kai's cheek while Drew refilled Luna's cup. The apartment felt full of hope, of warmth, of possibility. And before the story continues, the viewer becomes part of Lily's support system again. Bestie watching. Do you think money should ever replace love? Comment yes, no. Your words help Lily's story reach more hearts. Your engagement keeps her journey unfolding. And as this chapter closes, one truth grows stronger. They are a united family again. And they will face everything ahead, together. 3 days passed after Drew returned home, and the Sterling household settled into a tense but hopeful peace. Lily felt stronger with him by her side, but she still sensed the storm brewing in the background. Drew had tried calling his mother several times, wanting to confront her directly, but she ignored every call. On Thursday morning, while Lily was folding laundry near the twins' play area, a firm knock sounded at the door. Before she could answer, Kai ran to her side, tapping her wrist twice in concern. "It's okay, baby," she whispered before opening the door. A sharply dressed courier handed her a cream-colored envelope sealed with a gold, embossed crest, the Sterling family insignia she had learned to recognize. "For Ms. Lily Carter," the courier announced. Her stomach tightened. "Thank you," she said softly. She locked the door and opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a thick invitation written in dramatic cursive. "You are cordially invited to the Sterling Foundation annual winter charity gala at Magnolia Country Club." Lily blinked. Why would Ellen invite her? Then she read the note attached. "Your presence is expected. 8 p.m. sharp, Ellen. Not requested. Not welcome to join. Expected." Drew walked in from the kitchen and saw the expression on her face. "What's that?" he asked. Wordlessly, she handed him the invitation. His eyes narrowed as he read it. Of course, his mother wasn't finished. "This is a setup," he muttered. "A show. She wants to appear elegant while pressuring you in public." Lily swallowed hard. "Do we have to go?" "No," he answered instantly. "Absolutely not." But she hesitated. "Drew, if we don't show up, she'll twist the story. She'll say I'm avoiding her, or that I'm unstable, or—" Drew placed a hand on her cheek. "You're not unstable, you're not avoiding anything. But if you want me to go with you—" "I don't want this to turn into a legal battle," she whispered. He understood immediately. Lily didn't want wealth to crush her voice. She didn't want Ellen to claim she wasn't willing to be cooperative. She didn't want anything to jeopardize her motherhood. Drew sighed. "Then we'll go, together. And we'll stand firm." Lily nodded slowly. She didn't feel ready. She didn't feel confident. But she felt determined. That night, while she laid out her simple dress and clutched her Bible before bed, she whispered. God, walk with me. Because she's coming for me. The Magnolia Country Club glowed like a crystal palace that Saturday night. Valet drivers opened doors for politicians, patrons, CEOs, judges, and old money. Families who stepped out wearing gowns worth more than Lily's yearly rent. Drew parked the car himself, refusing valet service. We don't need grand entrances, he whispered. Lily inhaled deeply as they approached the marble steps. She wore a soft emerald dress, a simple, elegant choice, but compared to the jeweled gowns around her, she felt painfully out of place. Inside, chandeliers dripped from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. Servers in white gloves glided between guests, offering glasses of sparkling champagne. The moment Lily walked in, a few heads turned. Whispers began instantly. Is that Drew Sterling's wife? She doesn't look like she belongs here. Did she buy that dress or borrow it? Lily swallowed, her chest tightening. The divide between her world and theirs stood in sharp contrast, like two separate universes forced into the same room. Drew immediately wrapped his arm around her waist, pulling her closer. You're with me, he murmured. You belong anywhere I am. But Lily wasn't convinced. She saw Ellen from across the room, perfect posture, diamond necklace, surrounded by wealthy donors. Ellen smiled at her guests with icy grace, but the moment she spotted Lily, her expression stiffened just slightly, then morphed into a practiced, diplomatic smile. Here we go, Drew whispered. Guests stepped aside as they approached Ellen, who kissed Drew's cheek, before acknowledging Lily with a polite nod. Lily, Ellen said. You look presentable. Lily stiffened. Thank you, she replied with forced calm. Ellen's eyes flicked down Lily's dress, shoes, hair, cataloguing everything with silent judgment. The class divide felt like a wall pressing against Lily's ribs. She felt invisible, yet exposed. Her hands trembled slightly. Drew squeezed her waist gently. We're staying only a short while, he whispered. I won't leave you alone. But Ellen had other plans. After greeting donors and pretending civility, Ellen stepped closer. Lily dear, may I have a word with you? Her smile was practiced. Her eyes were not. Lily stiffened. Drew moved to follow, but Ellen raised a hand. I'd like to speak to her. Mother. To mother. Drew hesitated, jaw tightening. Lily nodded faintly, only because avoiding Ellen now would give her ammunition later. They walked to a quiet hallway lined with framed photographs of past board members. Ellen wasted no time. I would like to revisit our previous discussion. Lily's heart thudded painfully. Mrs. Sterling, please. I'm increasing the offer, Ellen continued smoothly. 25 million? Lily froze. I'm trying to be generous, Ellen said. The twins would grow up in a world of security, tutors, specialists, international opportunities. Everything you cannot possibly afford. Lily's breath caught. I love them, she whispered. Money doesn't... Oh, Lily. Ellen sighed, as though addressing a naive child. Love is not enough. Stability is... Lily felt a sting behind her eyes. Ellen stepped closer, lowering her voice. You're overwhelmed. Your life is chaotic. You work too hard. You worry too much. You are tired, constantly. That doesn't mean... It means, Ellen cut in. You are not equipped to raise children of the Sterling lineage. Lily swallowed hard, stomach twisting. Ellen's voice softened, in a way that made it hurt worse. You can have a new beginning. 25 million. A fresh life. Freedom from stress. Lily felt something inside her snap. Not in fear, but in insult. No amount of money will ever replace me in their lives, she whispered. Ellen's expression hardened. Think carefully before you refuse. Courts listen to financial capability. Judges favor stability. Lily felt her knees weaken. Ellen straightened her gown. Your final answer? My answer is no, Lily said, voice trembling but firm. Ellen's smile disappeared completely. We'll see, she replied. Lily turned and walked away before her tears fell. As Lily returned to the main ballroom, trying to control her breathing, she suddenly heard a voice she recognized, too loud, too bold, too unmistakable. Is that iced tea? Oh, hallelujah, because some of y'all look thirsty in here. Lily's eyes widened. Tracy. Tracy had snuck into the gala wearing a bright red dress that absolutely did not match the color scheme. She held a glass of sweet tea like she owned the place. Drew blinked. "Why is Tracy here?" I don't know," Lily whispered, horrified and relieved all at once. Before Lily could reach her, a waitress accidentally bumped Tracy's elbow, splashing tea onto Tracy's dress. Tracy placed a hand on her hip. "Oh no. No, ma'am. I rebuke this." Guests turned. Eyes widened. Whispers erupted. Then Tracy, being Tracy, lifted her chin and belted out, "Jesus is my rock, my solid rock." The entire room froze. The jazz band stopped playing. Guests stared in disbelief. An elderly senator dropped his shrimp cocktail. Tracy kept going, loud, proud and fully committed. "Oh, he's the lily of the valley." A few people near the bar looked terrified. Someone whispered, "Is this part of the program?" Ellen's face turned pale, then red, then stiff as cement. "Security," she hissed. But Tracy pivoted around the room, singing with full choir energy, arms raised, feet moving, voice echoing off the crystal walls. Drew whispered to Lily, "She came here. For you." Lily's eyes filled with emotional tears, not of embarrassment, but gratitude. Tracy's chaos distracted the room long enough for Drew to escort Lily outside before Ellen caused another scene. As they slipped out through the back hallway, Tracy yelled, "Sing with me if you got joy in your spirit." Nobody did. The moment the cool night air hit Lily's face, she inhaled deeply, relief washing over her like a second chance. The garden behind the country club was quiet, lit by soft lanterns wrapped around tall oak trees. Crickets sang. A fountain trickled nearby. Drew took Lily's hand and led her down a stone path until they were far from the chaos inside. "You okay?" he asked softly. Lily nodded faintly. "I just needed to breathe." Drew brushed a tear from her cheek. "She hurt you again," he whispered. "And I'm sorry you had to face that." Lily leaned into him, her voice breaking. She said, "I'm not enough, that my love isn't enough." Drew wrapped both arms around her, pulling her into his chest. "She's wrong," he murmured. "You are everything they need, everything I need." Lily closed her eyes as his warmth steadied her trembling heart. He gently tilted her chin up. "You are the strongest woman I know," he said softly. "And nothing will ever replace you in our family." Their foreheads touched. Her breaths became soft, steady. The fear that had been gripping her chest loosened just a little. Drew cupped her face. "I love you, Lily." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She whispered back, "I love you too." They didn't kiss out of passion but out of healing, gentle, slow, soft. The kind of kiss that says, "I'm here. I'm with you. I choose you. Always." The night wrapped around them like a quiet blessing. Inside, chaos continued. Tracy was probably still singing. Ellen was probably still fuming. But out here? Lily felt safe, loved, seen. For the first time in weeks, she felt hope again. The Monday after the chaotic country club gala started quietly, but the quiet didn't last long. Lily had just finished brushing Kai's hair and securing Luna's hearing device when someone knocked sharply at the door. Not a friendly knock, not a neighborly knock. A knock filled with stiff intention. She opened the door halfway and froze. A man in a dark grey suit stood on her porch. He held a clipboard and a stack of documents tucked under his arm. "Miss Lily Carter?" he asked. "Yes," she replied cautiously. He extended an envelope toward her. "I'm delivering a preliminary inquiry on behalf of Sterling and Cole Legal." Lily's heart dropped. "What inquiry?" she whispered. He didn't soften. "Your fitness as the primary guardian of Kai Sterling and Luna Sterling." Her breath caught. He placed the envelope in her hand, nodded, and turned away, leaving her frozen in the doorway. Her palms trembled as she tore open the envelope. Inside was a letter stuffed with intimidating legal terms. "We are initiating an exploratory assessment into the household, environment, financial conditions, and parental support structure you provide for the minors Kai Sterling and Luna Sterling." Her knees weakened. Another line read, This assessment does not remove custody, but may inform future legal proceedings if deemed necessary. Lily pressed her hand to her mouth. "Oh God," she whispered. Her stomach churned. The room tilted. Her limbs felt heavy. She sank onto the couch as the twins played in the background, happy, carefree, unaware that the ground beneath their mother's feet had just cracked open again. Drew rushed in from the hallway when he saw her collapse onto the cushion. "Lily, what happened?" She handed him the letter with trembling fingers. His jaw clenched so hard the tendons in his neck tightened. "She actually did it," he muttered. "She actually started a legal process." His face turned red, not from embarrassment but from fury, a fury he had been holding back for far too long. Drew sat beside her, pulling her close. "I'm going to fix this," he said through gritted teeth. "I will stop her." But Lily's voice cracked. "What if she wins, Drew? She has money, influence, attorneys." His grip tightened. "She won't win," he whispered, but his own heartbeat thudded with fear. This wasn't just emotional warfare anymore. This was legal warfare. And it had officially begun. By the end of the week, life piled up around Lily like a mountain she couldn't climb. Her mailbox overflowed with envelopes, none of them good. She opened the first bill. $428.19, Kai's speech therapy. Then another, $311.75, Luna's device calibration. Then, final notice, rent due in 5 days. She blinked rapidly, struggling to breathe. She worked hard. She stretched every dollar. She sacrificed her own needs every month. She cut corners, sometimes skipping meals so the twins never had to. But now, everything was hitting at once. The attorney inquiry, the therapy expenses, the overdue rent, the car that needed a new alternator, the device upgrade for Luna she still hadn't figured out how to afford. She sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by bills. Her fingers trembled as she pressed both hands over her face. The weight was unbearable, like life was punishing her for trying so hard. Kai walked over and tapped her wrist softly, his way of asking, "Mama, are you okay?" She forced a smile, wiping her eyes quickly. "I'm okay, baby. Mama's just thinking." But she wasn't okay. Her chest was tight. Her breathing shallow. Her faith fighting to stay above water. Drew walked in from the hallway, immediately sensing the shift in her energy. His eyes scanned the bills scattered across the table. "Lily." He whispered, pained. She shook her head. "I don't want you to feel obligated. I don't want to depend on you. This is my responsibility. They're my babies." "They're our babies," he corrected gently. "And you are not carrying this alone." She swallowed hard. "But everything is falling apart." He knelt beside her chair. "Then we'll rebuild it piece by piece. Together," but her voice cracked with helplessness. "What if your mother uses all this against me? The bills, the overdue rent, the car repairs. What if she tries to prove I'm not stable enough?" Drew exhaled shakily. "We will not give her that victory. I'll make sure of it." But fear still held her tightly, refusing to let go. Word spread quickly in their Savannah neighborhood, not through gossip but through genuine compassion. Tracy told her prayer group. Pastor Noah informed the church board. Miss Carmen from Kai's therapy center quietly shared the situation with other parents. And then something beautiful happened. One by one, people started showing up for Lily. A knock at the door. It was Mrs. Daniels from across the street, holding a tray of baked ziti. "I made too much," she lied kindly. "Thought the twins might enjoy some." Another knock. 2 teenage girls from the youth ministry offered to babysit twice a week, free of charge. Another knock. A father from the therapy center dropped off a grocery bag. "Just a little something," he said. "We've all been there." Tracy burst through the door later with half the neighborhood following behind her. "We're having a community blessing day," she announced. "Move out of the way, I got cornbread." Lily laughed through her tears as the kitchen slowly filled with people carrying casseroles, fruit baskets, diapers, wipes, and envelopes containing small donations. Someone brought gift cards. Another brought gas money. A local mechanic offered to fix her car at cost. Lily stood in the middle of the kitchen, overwhelmed by their kindness. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, tears flowing freely. Pastor Noah stepped forward. "You don't have to say anything, Lily. This is what community looks like. This is what faith looks like." She pressed her hand to her heart, unable to hold back her emotion. Kai clapped joyfully. Luna hummed happily in her arms. For the first time in a long time, Lily felt lifted. Not by money, but by love. While Lily received support at home, Drew waged his own battle in the corporate world. Ellen had tried to corner him, sending board members to reason with him, leaving cold messages, painting herself as the victim. But Drew was done being silent. At a quarterly board luncheon, Ellen arrived with her usual entourage, confident and composed. But Drew walked straight up to her, voice steady and loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mother, the custody inquiry stops today." Ellen blinked, masking her surprise. "Drew, this is not the place." "It is exactly the place," he cut in. "You started something dangerous. And you will end it." Board members shifted uncomfortably. A senator at the table raised an eyebrow. Someone even whispered, "He's finally pushing back." Ellen crossed her arms. "I won't stand by while that young woman limits the twins' future." Drew leaned forward. "You're not protecting them. You're controlling them. And you're hurting the woman I love." The room fell silent. Ellen's lips tightened. "You're emotional. You're not thinking logically." "No," Drew said firmly. "For the first time, I am thinking clearly. And if you keep pushing this legal threat, I'll remove your access to the children entirely." Gasps scattered across the table. Ellen blinked, stunned. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," Drew said, voice calm but lethal. For the first time in her life, Ellen saw something unfamiliar in her son's eyes. Firm boundaries, determination, and love stronger than her influence. He walked away, leaving her standing among donors who suddenly didn't know where to look. Drew wasn't playing defense anymore. He was going on offense. And he meant every word. Later that evening, after the twins fell asleep, Lily and Drew sat together on the couch. The soft lamplight warmed the room, and the chaos of the week seemed to settle into something quieter, something fragile, sacred. Lily leaned her head on his shoulder. "You confronted her," she said softly. "I had to," he replied. "You're my partner. My family. I won't let her destroy what we're building." Lily swallowed, emotion rising. "I don't want to be a burden," she whispered. Drew turned her face gently toward him. "You are not a burden. You're the woman I love. You're the mother of my children. You're the person who makes this house a home." Her eyes softened. "So much has gone wrong." "I'm scared, Drew." "I know," he murmured, brushing his thumb along her cheek. "And that's why we face it together." She leaned into him, letting his steady voice calm her racing thoughts. He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "I love you," he whispered. Lily closed her eyes, breathing in the comfort of his presence. "I love you too," she replied, voice barely above a whisper. They held each other for a long time, wrapped in warmth, vulnerability, and a love that was no longer shaken by fear, but strengthened because of it. The war wasn't over, but they were no longer fighting alone, and their love had become its own kind of armor. The morning was quiet, too quiet. Lily had just finished buttoning Kai's little shirt when the doorbell rang. Not a soft ring, not a friendly ring. It was sharp, cold, official. Kai stiffened. Luna hummed nervously, sensing the tension. Lily walked slowly to the door, her heart already pounding. When she opened it, a tall man in a navy blue suit stood on her porch. He carried a leather briefcase and a stack of documents. "Ms. Carter?" he asked. "Yes," she whispered. He extended a business card. "Marcus Hale, attorney at law, Sterling and Cole Legal Division." Her entire body went numb. "I represent Mrs. Ellen Sterling," he said politely but firmly. "I'm here to deliver formal notices regarding an upcoming custody evaluation." The world tilted. "No," Lily whispered. "No, she can't do this." "I'm afraid she already has," he replied. "This packet outlines the preliminary steps for the court review: household checks, financial reviews, interviews, medical evaluations. A judge will review the findings before determining next steps." Her knees weakened so visibly that Marcus slowed his voice, softening the tone. I'm not here to frighten you. I'm only delivering documentation. You'll have time, though limited, to prepare. I recommend seeking counsel. Lily didn't speak. She couldn't. She accepted the documents with trembling hands. Her fingers curled around the thick envelope like it was a ticking bomb. Marcus stepped back, respectful but unmoved by emotion. You will receive the follow-up schedule within 72 hours, he said. He paused, just a moment, as if he saw the pain in her eyes. Miss Carter. For whatever it's worth, I hope this resolves peacefully. Then he walked away. When Lily closed the door, she rested her forehead against it, breath shaking violently. The envelope felt heavy, like it carried the weight of her greatest fear. Kai walked over slowly and tapped her wrist twice. Lily sank to the floor, clutching him tightly as Luna crawled into her lap. She whispered, "Please, dear God, not my babies." Lily sat on the living room floor surrounded by legal documents she couldn't bring herself to read. The language felt foreign, sharp, threatening. Household viability assessment. Primary caregiver stability analysis. Financial sustainability review. Each phrase stabbed her. She felt small. She felt powerless. She felt like the world was judging her motherhood through paperwork. Her hands shook violently as she read one line. If the caregiver cannot demonstrate adequate stability, temporary placement may be deemed appropriate. Her breath caught. Temporary placement? She whispered. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She imagined a judge looking at her bank statements, her overdue rent, her small apartment, and deciding she wasn't enough. Her arms wrapped around her stomach as though holding herself together physically was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. Tears poured freely, painfully, silently. I'm failing them, she whispered to herself. I'm doing my best. But what if my best isn't good enough? Her voice cracked so hard she had to cover her mouth to keep from waking the twins. I should have been more prepared, saved more, earned more. I should have been better. The guilt crushed her. The fear suffocated her. She pulled her knees to her chest, unable to stop shaking. When Drew found her, she was curled on the couch, gripping a pillow as if it were the only thing keeping her anchored. He rushed to her side. Lily, what happened? She couldn't get the words out. She simply handed him the documents. He skimmed through them, and his expression hardened instantly. Oh my God, he whispered. No, Lily, listen to me. Listen. None of this means she'll win. But Lily was sobbing now. What if she does, Drew? What if she takes them? I don't have money. I don't have power. I don't have a big house. All I have is love. And what if that's not enough? Drew pulled her into his chest, wrapping both arms around her tightly. You are enough, he whispered fiercely. And you're not fighting alone. Not anymore. Not ever. But Lily cried harder, because fear has a way of twisting even truth into doubt. Drew didn't wait another hour. He stormed out of the apartment, drove straight to Magnolia Heights, Ellen's gated estate, and marched past security with a glare that made them step back instinctively. He entered her sunroom without knocking. Ellen looked up from her tea, slightly startled. Drew? She said carefully. What is the meaning of... What did you do? His voice shook with fury. Ellen blinked once. I assume you're referring to the custody evaluation? Drew's hands curled into fists. You didn't warn me. You didn't ask me. You went behind my back and blindsided the mother of my children. I acted in their best interest, Ellen replied calmly. They need structure, resources, a future. They need their mother, he snapped. Ellen flinched, just barely. Drew stepped closer. You're not taking my children, he said with steady fire. Not today. Not ever. This fight ends now. Ellen's jaw tightened. You're being emotional. No, he countered. I'm being a father, and a man, and a partner. Something you should respect. Silence filled the room. Ellen tried one more tactic. Manipulation, soft tone, gentle expression. Drew, I'm trying to protect them. You grew up privileged. I raised you with everything you needed. And look how that turned out. He cut in. A man who spent half his life craving affection from a woman who was too busy running fundraisers to say she loved him. Ellen froze. His voice softened, but didn't lose its strength. I will not let my children grow up feeling the way I did. Her eyes flickered, hurt, denial, conflict. But she stayed silent. Drew stepped back, chest heaving. This stops today, he repeated. Do not go near Lily again without going through me. He turned toward the door. You're not taking my children. And he walked away, leaving Ellen standing in the middle of her perfectly curated sunroom, with her perfectly curated silence, and a heart that was no longer as steady as she pretended. For the first time in decades, Ellen Sterling didn't feel in control. She stood at the window long after Drew left, his words echoing painfully through her mind. A woman too busy to say she loved him. My children need their mother. You're not taking them. Her throat tightened. No one ever spoke to her like that. Not donors, not politicians, not the board members who practically worshipped her. Not even her late husband. But her son? His words pierced her. She walked slowly to her bedroom, sat at her vanity, and stared at her reflection. For once, she didn't see the glamorous philanthropist in flawless makeup. She saw a woman who had survived her own childhood by building walls taller than skyscrapers. A woman who was raised by a mother who cared more about wealth than affection. A woman whose father disappeared before she turned 10. A woman who vowed she would never be powerless again. And a woman who believed deeply, too deeply, that financial stability was the only form of love she could offer. She remembered being 22, pregnant with Drew, terrified her husband would leave. She remembered her mother telling her, men don't stay for love, they stay for legacy. She believed it. She built her life around it. She shaped Drew's upbringing with that mindset, resources over affection, wealth over warmth, prestige over presence. Now he hated her for it. Ellen's hands shook slightly as she sank deeper into thought. She didn't want to take the twins out of cruelty. She wanted to protect them from the instability she endured. But was she protecting them? Or repeating her mother's mistakes? A question she had never allowed herself to face burned in her chest. Have I been wrong? Her throat tightened painfully. For the first time, fear, not anger, touched her eyes. 3 days later, Lily and Drew found themselves standing outside the Savannah family courthouse after receiving a mandatory meeting notice from the court administrator. It wasn't a full hearing, just an initial inquiry, but the symbolism alone made Lily's stomach twist into knots. She held Luna against her hip, Kai's hand gripped tightly in hers. Drew stood beside her, jaw clenched, arm wrapped protectively around her waist. They waited for Ellen's attorney to arrive. But then, something unexpected happened. A black car pulled up to the curb. The door opened, and Ellen stepped out. Not her attorney, not her assistant, not representation, just Ellen. She looked different, subdued, nervous, almost fragile in a way Lily had never seen. She walked toward them, stopping a few feet away. Drew's posture stiffened. Lily held her breath. Ellen looked at the twins, really looked at them. Luna hummed softly. Kai held Lily's dress and watched curiously. For a moment, Ellen's composure broke. Her eyes softened. Her shoulders lowered. She finally spoke. I called off the petition, she said quietly. Lily blinked. Drew froze. What? He asked sharply. Why? Ellen swallowed hard. Because I was wrong. Lily's eyes widened. Drew stared, shocked. Ellen continued, voice trembling in a way Lily had never heard. I thought stability meant wealth. I thought love meant providing at the highest level. But I raised my son with money and forgot tenderness. And I see now that he doesn't want that legacy for his children. She looked at Lily, really looked at her. You love them in ways I never learned. And that matters more than any financial advantage. Lily's breath hitched. Ellen extended a timid hand. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, I'm asking for another chance. To be in their lives without trying to control them. The air around them shifted. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Drew's expression cracked with disbelief and cautious hope. Luna hummed and reached a tiny hand toward Ellen, as if sensing her sincerity. Kai tapped Lily's wrist twice, asking silently if everything was okay. And for the first time, something in Ellen's heart softened. She whispered, I don't want to take them away. I just want to know them. Lily exhaled a shaky breath she didn't realize she had been holding. The custody earthquake didn't end in court. It ended in humility, in confession, in the first fragile step toward healing a broken family line. The morning after the courthouse moment, Ellen requested something unexpected, a quiet conversation at Lily and Drew's apartment. Drew hesitated, but Lily agreed. Something about Ellen's eyes, not forceful anymore, but deeply unsettled, made her pause. They sat around the small dining table. The twins were napping. Drew kept his arm around Lily's chair as if protecting her even in peaceful moments. Ellen didn't speak at first. Her gaze wandered to the twin stroller in the corner. The soft blankets, the tiny shoes neatly lined beside the door. The delicate pieces of a family she had almost shattered. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. "There's something I need to tell you both," she whispered. "Something I have never admitted to anyone except my husband. And the doctor who signed the certificate." Lily's breath stilled. Drew frowned. "Mom. What are you talking about?" Ellen placed both hands on the table. They shook. "I had a child before you, Drew." The room fell silent. Not a sound, not even the ticking clock, dared interrupt. Drew's grip on Lily's hand tightened. Ellen continued, every word weighted with decades of buried pain. "I was 20, it was a little girl. I carried her to 8 months. And then I lost her during a medical complication." Her voice cracked so sharply, Lily felt tears rise instantly. "I held her only once," Ellen whispered. "Just once. And she never opened her eyes." Lily's eyes filled with tears. Drew's expression went numb. Ellen pressed her fingers to her lips, stopping a sob from escaping. "That loss nearly destroyed me. I never healed from it. I buried it, hid it, locked it so deep inside myself that even when I had Drew, I couldn't let myself love him the way I wanted to. The fear consumed me. I was convinced any child I loved too deeply would be taken away." Lily's chest tightened. Ellen wiped her cheek quickly, ashamed of her own vulnerability. "When Drew became a father, all those buried fears rose again. I didn't want him to lose a child the way I did. I projected every wound onto you. I told myself I was protecting the twins. But the truth is, I was trying to rewrite my past." She looked at Lily with eyes that finally allowed grief to be seen. "And when I saw you with them, happy, gentle, connected, something inside me panicked. It felt like the universe was giving what I lost to someone else. And I hated that feeling. I hated myself for it." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Not for losing control. Not for going too far. I'm sorry, for letting my fear make me cruel." Lily didn't move. Drew didn't speak. The air around them shifted, not with anger, but with something raw, heavy, and painfully human. Lily sat stunned, hands clasped tightly. She wasn't ready for another revelation, but Ellen swallowed and continued. "There's more," Ellen said quietly. "Something I never planned to tell you." Lily blinked, confused. "More?" Ellen nodded, unable to meet her eyes. "When your church hosted the relief fundraiser 2 months ago, the one that helped pay for your therapy sessions and groceries, someone anonymously donated a large amount." Lily stiffened. She remembered that moment clearly. The envelope slipped under Pastor Renee's office door, containing enough funds to cover therapy for 2 months and stock her pantry. The pastor said the donor wanted no recognition. Ellen's voice trembled. "It was me." Drew straightened, stunned. "Mom, you?" Ellen nodded. "When I saw Lily cleaning hospital rooms, exhausted, overwhelmed, barely holding everything together, She exhaled shakily. "I wanted to help, but I didn't want you to think I was buying access to the twins, so I gave it quietly. Not out of control, but out of guilt." Lily's heart squeezed. "You helped me, without telling me," she whispered. "Yes," Ellen replied. "Because I knew I had judged you unfairly. I knew I had misread your strength. I knew that you were holding those children together with nothing but heart and sacrifice. And I wanted to ease that burden." She swallowed hard. "But instead of giving from love, I gave from shame. My grief blinded me, and eventually, I slipped back into fear and tried to take control again." Lily stared at the table, tears falling silently. Drew exhaled slowly, overwhelmed. "You never told me," he said softly. "I was afraid you'd see it as a bribe," she whispered. "But I wanted to help her, because she reminded me of the kind of mother I should have been." The revelation left the room heavy, filled with a truth none of them expected. Lily stood slowly, wiping her tear-stained cheeks. She walked toward Ellen, not with fury, not with bitterness, but with a grace Ellen didn't think she deserved. She knelt beside her chair. Ellen froze. Lily spoke softly, voice trembling but steady. "You went too far. You hurt me. You scared me. You pushed us to the edge. But Ellen, pain makes people do desperate things. And you've carried this alone for decades." Ellen's eyes flooded instantly. Lily continued. "You didn't lose your child because you weren't enough. It wasn't your fault. And nothing you do, no amount of control, can bring her back." Ellen covered her mouth, sobbing into her palm. Lily reached for her hand. "You're not my enemy," she whispered. "You're a grandmother grieving something you never healed." Drew watched with pure disbelief. His mother, always rigid, always composed, was trembling like a child. Lily squeezed her hand gently. "You're not losing the twins," she said. "You're gaining a chance to love them, without fear controlling you." Something in Ellen broke, finally, fully, completely. She leaned forward, forehead resting against Lily's shoulder, crying in a way she hadn't since she was 20 years old. And Lily held her, not because she forgot the past, not because she excused the harm, but because compassion was stronger than fear. When Ellen pulled back, her face was streaked with tears, mascara faintly smudged. But she didn't hide. She didn't straighten her posture or pretend she was fine. She let the vulnerability be seen. "I wasn't trying to be cruel," she whispered. "I was trying to feel safe. Losing my baby. It changed my body. It changed my heart. It changed the way I viewed motherhood." She looked at Drew. "You were my second chance. But I was never emotionally prepared. I raised you with schedules, tutors, structure. Because I didn't know how to raise you with softness." Drew's eyes softened. "You could have tried, Mom." "I was terrified," she admitted. "Every time you laughed, every time you ran, every time you fell and scraped your knee, I thought God would take you from me too." Her voice shook violently. "With the twins, all those fears returned. I wasn't fighting you, Lily. I was fighting ghosts." Lily wiped her tears quietly. Ellen looked at both of them. "I acted from fear, not hate. But fear is no excuse. It made me blind, it made me controlling, it made me cruel, and I am deeply, deeply sorry." No one spoke for several seconds. Then Drew walked forward, his voice thick. "I can't pretend everything is healed," he said. "But I hear you. And I'm willing to rebuild. Slowly. Together." Ellen nodded gratefully. "And Lily," Drew added, turning to her, "thank you for showing grace even when none was offered to you." Lily smiled through tears. "We heal forward," she whispered. "Not backward." The evening ended quietly. Ellen left the apartment with swollen eyes, a trembling smile, and the first real sense of peace she'd felt in years. She didn't know what the future held, but she finally understood something she had resisted for decades. Control never healed her. Grace did. Inside, Drew and Lily sat on the couch, bodies touching, hearts steady, twins asleep in their shared crib. Drew wrapped his arm around Lily, kissing her forehead. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving my family a chance I didn't think was possible." Lily leaned into him. "We all needed healing," she murmured. "Even the one who tried to break us." The camera view for your channel would close on Lily's voiceover as the screen softens. "Sometimes the people who hurt us aren't hateful, they're wounded. Sometimes forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes grace rebuilds what fear tried to destroy." Comment: Grace. If you believe forgiveness changes everything. Healing never begins with pride. It begins with surrender. Ellen Sterling learned that the hard way. The morning after the confrontation that shook her entire world, Ellen sat alone in her grand kitchen. Marble counters, spotless floors, everything smelling faintly of lemon polish and loneliness. The silence felt heavier than usual, not because her house was empty, but because it wasn't running on the fuel she'd used for decades. Control. For the first time in years, she woke without a schedule packed with board meetings and charity luncheons. Instead, she had one appointment in her calendar. 10:30 a.m., therapy. Her hand trembled as she picked up her phone. She had already cancelled the driver. She didn't want anyone seeing her like this. She grabbed her keys, got into her sleek car, and sat behind the wheel for 5 minutes before starting it. When she finally pulled up to Dr. Romero's office, she expected a sterile, perfect space. Instead, she found a soft-lit lobby with warm decor, and a receptionist who greeted her with gentle warmth rather than recognition. Ellen wasn't used to that. She wasn't used to being just a person. She filled out the intake form, her handwriting shaky as she wrote her name. Ellen Veronica Sterling. She didn't know which felt heavier, signing her name, or acknowledging that she needed help. Dr. Romero opened the door with a smile that wasn't forced, wasn't intimidated, wasn't impressed. Just present. "Mrs. Sterling." "Yes. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable." Comfortable. Something Ellen had forgotten how to be. She took a seat. Crossed her legs, uncrossed them. Adjusted her collar. Tried to hold the image of a woman who had everything under control. But her voice betrayed her. "I hurt my family," she whispered. Dr. Romero nodded gently. "Tell me what happened." And for the first time, not as a CEO's wife, not as a billionaire matriarch, not as a woman guarded by image, Ellen Sterling spoke the truth. "I lost a child once. Long before Drew, long before this chaos. I thought if I poured myself into success, into being strong, I'd never feel that helpless again. But when Lily came into the picture, when the twins arrived," her voice cracked, "I felt that fear again. Like they would be taken from us. Like I wasn't enough." Dr. Romero leaned forward. "Fear often disguises itself as control, and control can destroy the very things we're trying to protect." The words hit her like a blow. Tears slid down her cheeks, not dramatic, not loud, but the kind that burned quietly. The kind she never allowed herself to shed. "You lost your daughter?" "Doctor?" Romero asked softly. Ellen nodded. "She died at birth, and I convinced myself she would have lived, if I had been stronger." Silence fell. Not cold silence. Healing silence. The kind where truth has space to breathe. After an hour, Ellen left the office feeling exposed, lighter, and terrified. But she wasn't done. She drove straight to Mount Calvary Fellowship, the small church Lily attended, the one she had secretly donated to. She walked inside and found Pastor Noah sweeping the back aisle, because that's the kind of pastor he was. When he saw her, he didn't stiffen or stare. He simply smiled the way people smile at someone who needs care. "Mrs. Sterling," he greeted gently. I came because I don't know what else to do." Pastor Noah gestured toward a pew. "Sit. Let's talk." She did. And for the second time that day, she found herself opening up. He listened, really listened. He didn't talk about judgment. He talked about mercy, about second chances, about how fear can twist love into something unrecognizable. And when she confessed the $20 million offer, he didn't gasp or flinch. He said, "You made choices out of fear, but healing comes when we choose love instead. Are you ready to learn how?" Ellen closed her eyes. She'd spent her whole life teaching others how to live. Maybe it was time to be taught. "Yes," she whispered. "Then let's begin." And, just like that, the woman who tried to buy custody began the first real work of becoming someone worthy of her grandchildren. When Ellen left the church, she knew what she had to do next, but it required a level of humility she had never known. She needed to face Lily, the woman she had underestimated, the woman she had unintentionally hurt, the woman raising the twins with a strength that was louder than any wealth Ellen possessed. She called Lily that evening. Not with authority, not with demands, not even with an apology prepared, just with a soft, hesitant voice. "Lily, may I come over tomorrow? I want to understand the twins better. I want to learn." Lily hesitated. She wasn't defensive, just cautious. After everything, she had the right to be. But she also had a heart too big for bitterness. "Come at 10, Lily finally said. "And be ready to work." Ellen almost smiled. She hadn't been given homework in decades. At 10 a.m. sharp, Ellen arrived at Lily and Drew's home, not in designer heels, not in a tailored suit, but in plain jeans and a sweater, hands trembling slightly as she knocked. Kai opened the door first, flapping excitedly. He didn't know tension. He just knew faces. Grandma. He squealed. The word hit Ellen straight in the chest. Not because of the title, but because despite everything, the child still offered love freely. Luna peeked from behind him, holding her stuffed bear. She stared at Ellen for a long moment, then toddled forward and placed the bear in her hands. A silent offering. A trust. Lily watched from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. Her face didn't soften, not yet, but she stepped aside graciously. Come in. The next 4 hours were unlike anything Ellen had ever experienced. Lily walked her through Kai's sensory routine, Luna's speech exercises, how to help Kai calm down when overstimulated, how to read Luna's cues before she gets frustrated, how to prepare their meals without triggering texture aversions, how to create structure without losing warmth. Ellen took notes, pages and pages of notes. At one point, Kai covered his ears and began rocking. Ellen's instinct was panic, but Lily showed her how to sit on the floor, rub slow circles on his back, and hum softly until his breathing returned to a steady rhythm. Luna practiced a new word, up, soft but proud. Ellen clapped gently, eyes welling up. Luna climbed into her lap, resting her head on Ellen's chest. For the first time, Ellen wasn't the woman trying to take something away. She was the woman learning how to be part of their world. Around noon, Lily finally spoke in a tone that wasn't defensive, just honest. They're not projects, she said softly. They're people. Little people who need patience more than perfection. Ellen nodded. I know. And I'm sorry. For the money offer? For all of it. Her voice cracked. For assuming wealth made me the better choice. For thinking I could replace you. For letting fear run my decisions. Lily's eyes softened. Just a little. You're learning, she said gently. And that matters. Then she added something that stunned Ellen. If you're willing to keep learning, I'm willing to teach. Ellen swallowed hard. I am. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a doorway. And Ellen was ready, finally, to walk through it. Drew had been watching from the hallway. He didn't interrupt. Didn't offer commentary. Didn't attempt to control the moment. He simply observed, quietly, thoughtfully, as his mother sat cross-legged on the floor helping Kai stack blocks while Luna traced shapes on a tablet beside her. He'd never seen his mother like this, not as the sterling matriarch, not as a woman defined by power, but as someone trying, really trying. That evening, after Lily put the twins down for their nap, Drew approached Ellen on the porch with 2 mugs of tea. She accepted one, hands slightly unsteady. He sat beside her, taking a slow breath. Mom, earlier, watching you work with them, I didn't expect that. She looked at her hands. I didn't expect it from myself either. You did good, he said quietly. Ellen blinked back tears she didn't expect. She wasn't used to praise from her son that wasn't tied to performance, expectations, or image. Drew, I know I broke your trust, she whispered. I know the offer hurt you. And Lily. And maybe some part of me believed it was justified. Because I thought I knew best. He nodded gently. That's why we need to talk, really talk. She tensed. But Drew didn't raise his voice. He didn't shame. Didn't accuse. He did something far harder. He set a boundary. From now on, decisions about the twins are between Lily and me. You're welcome in their lives, but not as the decision maker, as family, as support. Her eyes widened. He'd never spoken to her like this. Not rudely, just clearly. Like an adult stating what he needed. And Mom, no more offers, no more secret deals, no more pressure. We can heal, but only if we build something healthier. Ellen swallowed. Boundaries were foreign to her. But strangely freeing. You're right, she whispered. I'll respect that. He gave her a small, grateful smile. And I want us to rebuild. But it's going to take honesty, real honesty. She nodded. I'm ready. for the first time in years. He believed her. Healing work can be quiet. Family dinner with Tracy present? Absolutely not. Drew had barely finished placing the dinner rolls on the table when Tracy barged through the front door holding 2 foil pans and a preacher's enthusiasm. "Move aside, saints and sinners. I brought baked mac and cheese straight from the gates of glory." Lily burst into laughter. Drew face-palmed. Ellen blinked in confusion. Tracy marched straight to the dining table, placed the pans down dramatically, and pointed at Ellen. "And you, don't even think about offering me money for this recipe. I keep my blessings in the vault." Lily nearly choked laughing. Drew covered his mouth. Ellen stared, utterly overwhelmed. Then finally, for the first time around Tracy, she smiled. Kai ran circles around the table yelling, "Mac! Mac!" Luna clapped, bouncing happily. Dinner was chaos. Tracy prayed for the food in the loudest, most theatrical voice possible. "Lord, bless this meal, bless these people, and bless Ellen. Because she needs double portions of patience dealing with her mistakes. Amen." Ellen coughed on her water. Drew muttered, "Oh God." Lily's head hit the table in laughter. By dessert time, everyone had relaxed. Kai leaned against Ellen's arm, half asleep from excitement. Luna handed Tracy a spoon she'd dropped. Drew served slices of apple pie while Lily swatted him playfully for cutting hers too big. For the first time since everything exploded, they felt like a family trying to build something real. Ellen sat quietly, soaking in the laughter, the noise, the love, the imperfections. It wasn't a fancy dinner in a country club. It was better. It was honest. After dinner and cleanup, the house finally settled into silence. Tracy left with a wink. "Don't do anything I wouldn't do," which means, do everything, and disappeared into the night. The twins slept peacefully. Ellen slept in the guest room like someone who'd run an emotional marathon. And Lily stepped onto the porch, wrapping a light sweater around her shoulders. The night air was warm, soft and still. Crickets hummed quietly. The porch light cast a gentle glow across the wooden railing. Drew followed her out a moment later. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Tired, but today felt hopeful." He stood beside her. Close. Too close for her heart not to react. "You handled everything with so much grace," he murmured. "I don't know how you do it." She looked up at him, eyes steady. "I do it because I love you, and I love our children, and because I believe that what God puts together, no fear can tear apart." His throat tightened. He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, slowly, gently, intimately. "Lily." The way he said her name wasn't soft. It was hungry. She stepped closer. The sweater slipped from one shoulder, revealing warm skin that caught the porch light. Drew swallowed hard. "Are you sure? Tonight's been a lot." She nodded, voice barely above a whisper. "I want closeness, Drew. I miss us. I miss feeling wanted." He exhaled shakily. "Trust me," he said, moving even closer. "I want you more than anything." His hands found her waist, fingers tracing small circles over her hips. Not rushed, not impatient, just wanting. She leaned into him, lifting her chin. He kissed her, slow at first, then deeper when she wrapped her arms around his neck. The kiss wasn't wild. It wasn't explicit. It was purposeful, tender, a release after weeks of fear and tension. He pressed her gently against the porch railing, lips trailing down her neck. She gasped softly, clutching his shirt. Her voice trembled. "Drew." He paused, looking into her eyes, making sure she was safe, emotionally and physically. "You can say stop any time," he whispered. She shook her head, pulling him closer. "I don't want to stop." His hand slid to her thigh, lifting her legs slightly so he could pull her body flush against his. Their breaths tangled, their foreheads touched. Heat rolled between them, while the world around them stayed silent and still. Not explicit. Not rushed. Just two people rediscovering each other. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. When they finally slowed, he rested his forehead against hers. "I love you," he whispered. "And I'm not letting anything break this family." She smiled softly, touching his chest. I know. And I'm right here with you. They stayed like that, wrapped in each other, bodies warm, hearts steady, as the night held them gently. Healing wasn't easy, but together, they were learning how to do it anyway. Sunday morning arrived with a softness that felt intentional. Warm sun, quiet breeze, birds settling on the church roof as if the moment itself was being prepared. Mount Calvary Fellowship filled slowly with families greeting one another, choir members warming up, children weaving between pews. The atmosphere wasn't grand, it was homegrown, it was community. And today, something unexpected was about to happen. Ellen Sterling stood outside the church door, her hands clasped tightly, breathing slow, practiced breaths to keep her courage from slipping away. She wore a simple navy dress with no jewels, no designer accessories, just humility. This time, she wasn't entering to fix something. She was entering to confess. Pastor Noah met her at the entrance. "You ready?" he asked softly. "No," Ellen admitted. "But I'm willing." "That's enough." He guided her inside. As the service began, Lily whispered to Drew, "I didn't expect her to actually come." Drew nodded, squeezing her hand. "Neither did I. But I'm proud of her for trying." Tracy, fanning herself dramatically, whispered, "If this woman falls out in the spirit today, I'm taking credit." Lily elbowed her, trying not to laugh. Worship filled the room. The choir sang. People stood with hands lifted, hearts open. Then Pastor Noah stepped forward. "Church family," he began. "Today we have someone who asked to speak." A quiet ripple moved through the congregation, "And I pray that you'll listen with the same grace God has given you." He turned toward Ellen. She stood, legs shaking slightly, and walked to the front. Her heels clicked softly against the floor, each step measured, vulnerable. Lily held her breath. Drew sat tall. Tracy whispered, "Lord, get your popcorn ready." Ellen reached the podium, gripped the sides, and let the room settle. "My name is Ellen Sterling," she began, her voice steady but soft. "Most of you know of me, some of you may know me personally, but today, I'm not here as a Sterling. I'm here as a woman who made mistakes." The church grew silent. "I came into my son's life, and into Lily's life, with arrogance. I thought money could solve anything. I thought I knew better. I tried to control what wasn't mine to control." Her voice cracked. "I even offered Lily $20 million to give up her children." A gasp traveled through the sanctuary. A few people turned toward Lily with shocked expressions, but Lily didn't hide. She kept her chin lifted, strong, calm. Ellen continued, "I was desperate. Not because Lily is lacking, but because I was terrified. I lost a child once, a daughter, and I carried the guilt so deeply that I convinced myself I needed power to protect what remained." A tear slid down her cheek. "But fear is not love, and control is not family. Lily, I hurt you deeply." She turned toward her. "And for that, I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me one day. But even if you can't yet, I want you to know I'm changing, not for image, not for reputation, but because I want to be worthy of the grandchildren I almost lost." The room remained silent, emotion heavy, but hopeful. Pastor Noah stepped forward, placed a hand on her shoulder, and nodded for the congregation to stand. "We are all witnesses," he said, "and we are all capable of change." The entire church, people Ellen would never have associated with before, stood in unity, not in judgment, not in pity, in grace. Lily blinked tears away. Drew wrapped an arm around her shoulders. And for the first time in her life, Ellen Sterling felt embraced without status. After service, church members approached Ellen, not with coldness, but with warmth. Hands shook hers. Gentle hugs surprised her. Several mothers told her, "You're brave. You did the right thing. You're growing. That matters." It overwhelmed her. Meanwhile, Lily stepped outside into the sunlight, breathing slowly, unsure how to approach the next moment. Drew nudged her. "You okay?" "I am," she answered softly. "I just need a moment before I talk to her." But she didn't get the chance to step away. Ellen approached quietly, hands clasped like she was afraid to reach out. "Lily," she whispered, her voice fragile. Lily turned fully toward her. The two women stood face to face, one having given birth from her body, the other from her fears. Ellen's lips trembled. I meant every word I said. And I understand if forgiveness takes time. Lily took a long breath. She thought about everything: the phone call, the money, the fear, the pressure, the breakdown, the therapy, the way Ellen humbly learned Kai and Luna's needs, the dinner, the awkwardness, the growth. Then she stepped forward. I forgive you. Ellen's breath caught. No conditions, Lily continued. No grudges, no halfway forgiveness. I'm choosing peace. For my children, for Drew, for myself, and for you. A tear slipped down Ellen's cheek. I don't deserve this. None of us ever deserve grace, Lily replied gently. But we're given it anyway. Slowly, Lily opened her arms. Ellen stepped into them, and broke. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a long, trembling exhale of a woman carrying decades of guilt, finally letting it go. Lily held her firmly as if saying, You're safe now. Drew watched, his jaw tight from emotion. Tracy sniffled loudly. If somebody don't hand me a tissue, I'm gonna baptize myself right here with tears. Back at the house that afternoon, Drew gathered Lily and Ellen in the living room. Kai and Luna napped peacefully. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the air conditioning. Drew stood before them with a seriousness that wasn't stern, just intentional. There's something I want for this family, he began. Something we've never had: clarity, love, boundaries that protect, not divide. Lily smiled faintly, already sensing where this was going. Ellen sat upright, attentive. So, Drew continued, I wrote something. He pulled out a small piece of paper. It's not legal, it's not a contract, it's a promise. He cleared his throat and read, Our family agreement. Love leads every decision. Fear is not allowed to rule our home. Power is not love. Money can help, but it can never guide. Lily is not to be overridden. Ever. Ellen is welcome as family, not authority. Drew will protect this home with honesty. The twins come first. God is the center of everything. He lowered the paper. Lily's eyes glistened. That's beautiful, Drew. Ellen exhaled shakily. May I add something? Of course, he said softly. She took the paper, her handwriting elegant but trembling. At the bottom she added, I will choose humility over pride, presence over control, love over fear, always. Ellen. She handed it back to Drew. He read it, looked at both women, and smiled. This, he said, is our reset. Lily leaned against him. Ellen placed a hand over her heart. It wasn't just paper. It was a promise none of them had been strong enough to make before. That evening, the home was louder than usual, but in a good way. Kai ran through the living room wearing a blanket as a cape. Super Kai, he yelled, zooming in circles. Luna toddled behind him, holding a spatula like a microphone, shouting, Sing, sing! Ellen laughed, really laughed, sitting on the rug playing along. Super Kai, come save Grandma. Kai tackled her gently, and Ellen fell back laughing even harder. Lily watched from the kitchen, her heart swelling at the sight. This was the same woman who once tried to take her children away. Now, lying on the floor, letting Kai climb her like a tree. Tracy arrived carrying a bowl of potato salad. I heard there's joy in this house, so I knew y'all needed my famous recipe. Lily smirked. We didn't ask for it. You never need to ask, Tracy replied, sliding into the living room like she owned the place. In 2 minutes, she was dancing with Luna, spoon in one hand, spatula microphone in the other. The entire room erupted in laughter. Kai eventually climbed into Drew's lap and rested his head against his chest. Luna curled in Ellen's arms, thumb in mouth. Lily stood in the doorway watching her family, finally whole. She wiped a quiet tear and whispered, Thank you, God. Night settled gently over the house. Tracy finally left, but not before shouting from the driveway, You'll better not be making any new twins tonight. The first set kept us all praying. Lily covered her face. Drew nearly choked laughing. Ellen shook her head smiling, whispering, Lord, help her. Inside, the house quieted. Ellen kissed Kai and Luna goodnight, then retired to the guest room with a peace she had never felt before. On the porch, Lily stepped outside, again, leaning against the railing as she breathed in the calm air. Drew joined her moments later, sliding his arms around her waist from behind. She melted into him instantly. Long day? He murmured against her neck. Beautiful day, she whispered. He turned her around to face him, cupping her jaw gently. I'm proud of you, he said. You forgave her in a way only you could. And I'm proud of you, she replied. You stood up for us. You chose love when it was hardest. His eyes softened. You're my peace, Lily. She stepped closer, her chest brushing his. And you're mine. Their lips met, warm, hungry, but unhurried. The kind of kiss that carried history, healing, and promise. His hands slid down her back, pulling her closer. She gasped softly, fingers gripping his shirt as the heat built between them. He whispered against her lips. I want you. She smiled, breathless. I know, and I want you too. He kissed her again, deeper, slower, lifting her slightly so her body pressed fully against his. The porch light glowed softly around them, shadows moving gently as they held onto each other, savoring the closeness. Sensual, emotional, safe, deep, united. When they finally slowed, he rested his forehead against hers. Lily? He murmured. Let's keep choosing this. Every day. She placed a hand over his heart. We will. The door creaked behind them. Tracy's voice exploded from the driveway. I'm serious. No new twins. They burst into laughter, real, full, unexpected laughter that wrapped around the night like ribbon. A family built not by fortune, not by fear, but by faith, forgiveness, and love. Bestie. If you believe that love is stronger than money, drop a heart in the comments and hit that subscribe button so more people can be blessed by stories like this one.